Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Welcome to today's episode of How You're Getting Effed. I'm your host, Louis Rossman. Today I would like to discuss the continued death of the old internet, the internet that I love, the internet that I grew up on 20 to 25 years ago, and how this just seems to be in continuous decline. Back in the day, I was able to go to all these small different web forums and communities, and I loved it. Places like dmusic.com, which were not just about boycotting the RIAA, they were not just about indie music, it was really a website with a genuinely tightly knit community where people knew each other, they knew their problems, they knew their personalities, experiences, and everything else. Websites like the Womb forums, where I actually got to be able to speak directly to platinum record engineers. I got to speak to people like Bob Olson that were there in Motown when it started, and I could actually ask questions from the recording community. I got to learn from people like Slipperman, aka Tim Giles. Rest in peace, sir. I never got to meet him in person, but he was a large influence in my life, and he also taught me a lot about what it means to be a real professional, not just that thing of you never curse and you dress properly. He taught me what it means to be a real professional when you're the best at your craft, and how he was just a great inspiration to me in a number of ways. Anyway, moving on, you had places like Tape Op where you could hear from people like Chris Garges and Joel Hamilton, more Space Echo, and there was one jackass on there that changed his name to something ridiculous at some point, but anyway, I forget his name. There was one dude that just enjoyed pissing everybody else off, and him and More Space Echo would always go back and forth. I always enjoyed that. But there were all these places like that. That was the core of the internet. And essentially, you went from all these different places where people would communicate to having Reddit. I mean, a lot of these web communities are essentially dead. You have Facebook, you have Reddit, and that's that. If you want to, if you are looking for a website with people post videos, you have YouTube, you have Twitch, and that's that. I try to go out of my way to not use this type of monopolistic crap. I do not have Mac OS X on here. I'm not using Windows in this computer. I'm using Linux. I have for the last 22 years. I enjoy torturing myself. But let's be real, if I want to talk about right to repair, if I want to teach people how to do MacBook board repairs back in the day, if I want to talk about the decline of ownership today, and I go on Rumble or Odyssey, there's going to be two people watching. It's not really going to get my point across. If I want to, discuss a particular topic or get advice on it, Reddit is one of the few places to do that nowadays. Even when it comes to I hate this term, it makes me sick, but reputation management, which is essentially when people slander the crap out of you with non-factually based information, which you have to respond to, because if you don't respond to it, you wind up getting all these emails and phone calls, people saying fucked up things about you. If I want to do that, I hate Reddit. I don't like it as a platform, but if you look through my post history for the past year, 90% of my posts are essentially responding to people that just made shit up about me. It's like, here's why that's factually not true. If it requires that you have an account on these websites, and it requires that you use these websites, which sucks enough as it is. What really sucks is not just when there's all this consolidation. It's really just kind of when you have that nail in the coffin, that fuck you to the old internet, which has happened between Reddit and Google very recently. So Google has had this partnership with Reddit that you can read about over here, and they also have changed the robots.txt of their website, which you can read over here. Welcome to Reddit's robots.txt. Reddit believes in an open internet, but not the misuse of public content. And what they're doing now is they're making it so that other search engines are not going to be able to index their website unless they do some sort of nefarious thing. Robots.txt, again, at the end of the day, if you're a nefarious actor, you don't give a shit about robots.txt. But if you're a legitimate actor, like most large search engines or even small businesses that are trying to become real search engines, you're going to be scraping based on the preferences of robots.txt. What this means is that if you search for something and you're using an alternative search engine, you are not going to see those results unless that search engine has made a deal with Reddit and has made it obvious in the terms of service that you can use their API to get their data. They're not going to allow you to do this anymore. If you pay them. And there's a couple of problems with this. So the first one is, if you want to try another search engine, again, new search engines, they're going to have that barrier to entry as it is. It's very difficult. Everybody already uses Google. If you're searching for a local business, good luck using something like OpenStreetMaps or something else to be able to figure out what barbershops are in your area or what the ratings or reviews are on them. If you want that kind of information, you're using Google Maps and Google Places, because that's where all the businesses have registered, because that's where all the people searching are. That's where you're going to get reviews. Nobody's going to care about two people in the world are going to see that. You already have that barrier to entry, which is everybody's already using Google. But now you're going to have another barrier to entry, which is that you need to have the money necessary to actually pay Reddit whatever they want to be able to index everything on their website. Now, if you want to index every single post on this website, every single post, that's not going to be cheap, which means that you are essentially going to be gatekeeping the ability to have search engines be able to index the most important corners of the internet to people who pay you. And as I've said on this channel for a long period of time, once one company gets away with some shit like this, they all start doing stuff like that. I hate washing machines and dryers that sing to you. There's something about that just drives me insane. Just buzz or some shit. Anyway, the washing machine I had as a child in my house, it just went Love that sound. This doot, 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 doot. Or even worse is the doot, 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 doot. Just fucking buzz or something. Anyway, back to the point here. Every company essentially winds up converging when one company does something. You have one company that says pay for heated seats as a subscription after the sale, even though the heaters are in your car. Another company is going to do the same thing. You have one company that's anti-right to repair. You'll have another company that's anti-right to repair. You have one company that says no headphone jack. You have another one that says no headphone jack. You have one company that says that I don't know if you have one company that restricts repair. You'll have Samsung saying the next day that if you want to be able to be one of our repair providers, not only can you not do board repair, but you also have to, interrogate your customers if you find an aftermarket part in their phone. It's disgusting. Don't be surprised if other large websites and other large conglomerates decide to start doing the same thing, which is charging people who, if they want to essentially index their website. This means that you are going to have less choice in search than you already do. Again, it's bad enough that if I want search results, Google is one of the few options. I've tried Bing, I've tried DuckDuckGo, I've tried Brave, I've tried others. They suck. Like, they give me results. They'll give me something similar to the word that I search for, but they're not going to give me the answer that I want. And to be clear, Google is in a decline as well, which I think is really important as to why we should have competition here. But even at the end of the day, Google's not even that good at this. If you just take a look over here, like look at this shit. Let's take a look here. I'm gonna search for some random thing like a fabric softener crunchy polo shirt or something like this. I guarantee you, I'm going to find a bunch of... The first thing that you find that's useful is a Reddit post, but if I want to go to almost any other website, you're going to find a lot of crap that is essentially just SEO articles and affiliate linked crap. So if I go over here, this, again, look at this, like how to install, like this is a clothesline website. This is pretty much a blog post. Over again, TikTok, I don't want to look at TikTok. This is... Wow. How to remove stiffness and soften a fabric step by step is the URL. And as you can see, that is the URL I clicked. Recovo.co /blog/n/blog/article, how to remove stiffness and soften a fabric step by step. And the website is literally fucking empty. Again, you click over here. This is the problem that you have with Google nowadays. This is not the old fucking internet where you would actually find some small website with some people that just like obsessed over fabric softener or obsessed over golf shirts or something like that. They would give you all this information. You find all of this crap nowadays. And let's be, again, if you look at shit like MapQuest, I've tried like 4 times at this point to actually get them to edit my address to what it actually is. This shit still says 186 First Avenue. They have not even figured out yet that I moved from that to a new address in New York in 2020, nor have they figured out that I'm no longer in New York and that I'm in Texas. In fact, I'm kind of fucking offended that they think I'm still in New York, but that's a topic for another video. If you want to search for local business, anything like that, even when I ask questions about certain things, if I want to figure out basic stuff, basic questions like some issue with rspamd and mailcow, I'm going to find something related to those 2 words on Brave, DuckDuckGo, or Bing. I'm going to find an answer on Google. Like, it sucks, but that's the case. If I want to be a search engine that's actually competing with Google now, not only do I have to figure out how to get a better algorithm than this company that essentially has been making $60 to $70 billion per year in net profit, that has a lot more money for engineers than I do, but I also have to have the money to be able to pay Reddit in order to be able to do this. Reddit is not just saying you cannot scrape our website. They're saying here's our API if you want to get access to the information. Now you can pay us if you want to be able to index it. And this is just a fundamentally non-standard thing. When I talk about The Womb, when I talk about Tape-Op, when I talk about DMusic and all these amazing websites back in the day, none of these websites said that specific search engines or any search engine at all was not allowed to index their content. This was fundamentally not a thing. The idea that I would make it so that if you want to find content from borge.rossmangroup.com, which in my opinion, one of the best places on the internet to find archives and troves of information on how to troubleshoot MacBook motherboards, because I actually pay somebody a salary in order to answer questions on that forum. Shout out to Volley in Spain. He's pretty awesome at this stuff. And shout out to Mr. Duke if you are still around. He used to answer questions on there back in the day. Point being, I don't say that certain search engines can't access this shit unless they pay me. The amount of money that I pay for hosting for this particular site, it's not that much that if people wanted to scrape it all day long, that it's killing me versus the amount of revenue that it's bringing in. I imagine that if Reddit were a website that was run properly, they would figure out a way to bring in enough revenue to actually pay for their hosting, and the cost of having somebody else some other search engine be able to index your content, but they don't because they have a shitty ass fucked up business model. I know people are going to say, well, your website is way smaller than Reddit. Obviously, less people are scraping it. Yeah, but you're missing the fucking point, because I know that there's going to be some dunce in the comments that says that shit. It's about the fucking ratio. Less people scrape my website, less search engines are looking through my website. However, I also have fewer users. Because I have fewer users, that's there. If your website is so fucked up that your ratio of crawlers to the amount of money that you bring in from that website or whatever it's so fucked up when you're an actual business trying to make a profit off of this, that you are losing money off of that, that's a you problem. You suck. You're doing something wrong with your fucking business model. If search engines crawling your website is destroying you to the point where you need to charge them more money to be able to do so, you suck. Because I've heard people say this. I've seen, the CEO has said this website loses money. And again, okay, let's say that you are losing money on this. If you're actually losing money on this, you suck. You fucking suck. Your business model is so bad. And the fact that your business model sucks is literally ruining the fucking internet. D-Music somehow is able to deal with search engines going through their website. The Womb Forums could do that. Messageboard.tapeup was able to do that. Every other fucking site that I visit managed to be able to handle this, but they can't? Get the fuck out of here. I hate this too big to fail shit where he fucks up and now we all have to pay for it. Spez sucks at running a company. As a result of Spez sucking so bad at running a company, we essentially have to lose the small remnants that are left of an open internet. Can you failing just fuck with you? Can we just, for once, be someplace where when you fuck up, you're the one that has to pay for it? When you fuck up, we don't get a society that is less open, more monopolistic, more controlling. If my repair company fails, if Rossman Repair Group fails, that does not mean that Northridge Fix's guides are not going to be indexable anymore, that Paul Daniels' guides or Jessa Jones's guides or Tim Herman's guides or Jesse Cruz's guides or any of that. If I fail, if I completely fuck up with everything I'm doing in life, which let's be real, I've had 3 or 4 companies fail before, so that's actually very fucking likely, as particularly in the industry be going the way that it is, that this is not going to screw up the entire industry that I'm in. It's not going to mean that you have considerably less choice in the matter versus every other company that exists. It doesn't mean that way less information is going to be available. It doesn't mean that I'm going to rip all this stuff back from you. It doesn't mean that there's now going to be some sort of gatekeeping to get access to stuff in a way that there was not gatekeeping before. Why is it that when you fuck up your business model, the internet has to pay for it? Because it's either one of those two things. Either A, you already make money, you already have a good net profit, you just want to make more and you're going to fuck over the internet and antitrust in order to be able to do it. Or B, you actually do lose money, in which case your inability to run a business properly is literally going to fuck with the internet. Fuck you. And this is the thing. I know somebody's going to say that, well, they need to make money somehow. Yes, corporations have the right to make money. They have the right to charge for shit. And they're forgetting the last 25 years of the internet. And that's the fucked up thing, is that there are people from Gen Z that are growing up that literally don't even remember. There are people that are young enough, that they're old enough to understand how to use technology and the internet, and they're so young that they forget when you bought shit and you actually owned it and it wasn't a subscription. In order to defend this, you actually have to genuinely forget what the internet was like. We used to have an internet that didn't fucking build search engines for indexing their content. Back in the day when you had these types of small forums, you would have a small number of the users that actually decided to donate every now and then, the hosting for these types of websites for smaller forums, like a $50 to $150 a month. And if you had some forum that really grew really, really large, maybe you'd have $1,000 or $2,000 in hosting bills, and you would usually have some donors or people that really, really valued the content on that website that would happily donate so that the site could be ad-free, or they'd put a couple of ads on it. But again, we didn't have an internet for 20 fucking years where any of these niche websites said, you know what I need to do in order to make this website actually sustainable? I really need to make sure that I charge Google and Bing and whoever else is I need to charge Alta Vista to be able to index this content. I need to charge yahoo.com for accessing it. That wasn't a thing. That never happened. And I do not want this shit to be fucking normalized, because it is going. That's where this is going. They've already normalized everything being a subscription. They've already normalized not being able to fix anything anymore. They've already normalized the idea of buying entire fucking assemblies when you need to fix something rather than fixing the actual thing that's broken. They've normalized not being able to get documentation or schematics with anything that you buy. And now they're going to try to normalize this shit. Fuck that. I don't want to have a washing machine. I don't want a fucking ceiling fan that I have to connect to a goddamn app in order to turn this shit on. That's the one that came with my house did that. And I threw that shit off the fucking balcony. I don't like that this is becoming normalized, but let's be real. It is going to become normalized as a result of Reddit being the backbone of the information that's on the internet nowadays. Even Google, with $60 to $70 billion a year, can't figure out a way to return search results that are more relevant than what they get from Reddit's forums. And they knew that. And they also know that with that $60 to $70 billion a year that they're making in net profit, they are going to have the money to pay companies like Reddit, while new search engines are not. So they're going to be able to build this moat around them that keeps other people from being able to compete with them and be able to catch up with them. And this is something I talked about a lot in, even just in my industry. Like back in the day, I used to be able to buy parts at affordable prices. I used to be able to buy just the part that was broken. I didn't have to buy entire assemblies. I didn't have to buy donor boards for $300. I didn't have to buy screen assemblies for $400 to $600. I could actually buy the chip for $1 to $5. I could actually buy the LCD cell that's broken for $38 to $110, not have to spend like $400 or $600 on display assembly. I used to be able to buy donor boards for $20 to $300, $20 instead of the $300 it is now. As a result of this, am I in business? Yes. If somebody wants to follow in my footsteps, can they? Fuck no. And that's sad. The way that I was able to compete with other businesses in this industry is I actually was able to provide a better service than them, because even though they had a lot more money than I did, they just sucked. There were other places where if you wanted a particular repair, you had to wait 1 to 2 weeks because God forbid they keep a part in stock. I was keeping parts in stock while other businesses weren't. So even though I had less money, because I was willing to actually put my money into my business rather than put it into a fucking monthly payment for a Cadillac Escalade like some of the people that I was competing with, I was able to beat them. I was able to offer better service. I could offer faster service. And because I was actually willing to buy 5 or 10 parts at a time, that meant that I could get some sort of discount versus if I was just buying them one at a time. And that was what allowed me to eventually make the money to where I could buy 20, then 40, then 80, then 100, and so on and so forth, and continue moving forward. For so many industries nowadays, these pathways to being able to actually compete with others are going away, and they're realizing that these pathways are going away. If every single vendor said, you have to buy 100 of this or 1,000 of this or you don't get access to anything, I would not have been able to compete with those other companies at all. It's sad, but in more and more industry verticals nowadays, as the type of consolidation happens, there isn't really a chance for somebody like me to climb the ladder to success that I've climbed. And that makes me very, very sad. Something tells me that when all these people are posting all this good data that people were learning from back in the day, all these answers to all these very niche questions, that they weren't thinking in their head, thank God, 8 years from now, the CEO of Reddit is going to protect me by charging search engines for access to this data without sharing any of that money for me. Because I really want to be a part of ensuring that Google is a monopoly. I don't want other small search engines to ever be able to compete with Google. And by providing my information to Reddit instead of to a small web forum, I'm a part of that. And that makes me feel protected. Because when you read when you read Reddit's garbage PR releases, they really do kind of phrase this like they are protecting this content, like they're protecting the user, when they're not protecting you from shit. What they're doing is they're saying, listen, if you want to train AI on our content, you don't get to use a web scraper. You have to pay me. Their terms say that you can't use this for commercial use, but you can also contact them and you can work out a deal. And I'm confident, something tells me that if a company reached out to Reddit and said, we want to use your API and we want to make commercial use of the information that we're grabbing, they would more than happily make a deal, and they would more than happily allow every single post on Reddit to be used to train an AI if they got enough money, and they sure as fuck are not sharing that money with you. And that's, at the end of the day, what matters. They're, again, with right to repair, they're not keeping you from having access to a schematic. They're not keeping you from having access to a $5 chip because they care about your safety. It's not about safety. It's about them being able to make more money. When a company decides that they are going to take your data, they're going to take all the information on what you're doing with your vehicle, like that happened in the New York Times article with the Chevy Bolt earlier this year, and they are going to then give that information over, sell that information over to a company like LexisNexis that's then going to provide it to your insurance provider. That is not for your fucking safety. That is so that they have the ability to raise your premiums with a justification to do so, all the while General Motors gets some money out of the deal. This is not about protecting users on Reddit, and it never was. If it was about protecting users on Reddit, you wouldn't have the ability to utilize this for commercial purposes if you contacted Reddit. Spez does not give two shits of a fuck if user-generated content is utilized to train AI. What he cares about is getting his cut. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you on the next one. Bye now. My apologies if I've been a little bit raspy in this video, or not as even less coherent than I usually am. I've been sick for the past few days. Actually, the last week, I thought on last Friday, I thought that I was better. I was not. I went outside and I immediately immediately regretted it and spent most of the weekend throwing up and also this morning. So I'm finally starting to feel better. So I'm going to get back in the saddle, get back to doing work, get back to life. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye now.